Yo, 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 yo. What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the Regal 30 podcast. I'm your host, King Nappy. We are here again talking about the real pressing issue of the. That was me putting hand sanitizer on. Of this coronavirus. I wanted to come to you guys today and just get right into it and talk about my thought process as to what this could possibly lead to. Kind of get in my conspiracy theorist mode, I guess. Um, and this isn't even much of a theory that's probably original for me. This is just from things that I've heard in the past, things that I've been noticing gradually with just how the world is. This thing has grown from what articles are saying. This thing has grown and, excuse me, to have affected 190,000 people worldwide. It has killed over 7,500 people. Uh, at least from what them internets is saying. We all know we can't trust those numbers, but if we're going off numbers, those are the numbers we're gonna go ahead and go off of. One hundred and 90,000 people affected, over 7,000 have deceased. In the state of Illinois, where I'm at, every dine-in area has been made to deliver only or only to go orders. I'm thinking there was, if I'm not mistaken, I think there's something active going on in San Francisco, in the San Francisco area, if I'm not mistaken, where everybody's kind of in the house, everybody's chilled, everybody's sort of tucked away. It's still pretty active out where I'm at. Um, but just seeing the rate at the way this thing is progressing. There was a lady from the occupational health organization, and I apologize, I feel like I'm sleepy. Lady from the occupational health organization, she had came and sort of chimed in on a video that I saw on YouTube, and she was saying that, professionally speaking, on a scale from 1 to 10, so far as, I guess, her take and how much her take is worth it, 1 being a random person on Facebook, and 10 being someone you should really listen to, being from that organization. She rated herself a 8 point. I think she said an 8.5, 7 or 8. But she was going over and she was talking about what makes this particular strain of this virus different. It is, most flus are labeled as coronaviruses, but they were saying that this one has just a different strain and different characteristics than the other ones. And this one is said to come from animals, which is what makes it a little more violent, which makes it a little more resilient to antibiotics and things like that, and most treatments. Um, I don't know. I get a lot of friends that are honestly just tired of hearing about it, and I understand it. I understand everybody's frustration and no longer wanting to hear about this incident and hear about this particular topic, wanting to talk about something else, wanting to just sort of change topics, wanting to get our sports back. I'm hearing so many different opinions and sides to it. And like I said, I understand it. I'm kind of in between both, though. I understand the side where families are affected and people are actually being bothered and affected directly by by this particular virus. I'm understanding the families who's had someone who's deceased, and you know they're having to cope and deal with that and figure out how they're going to do that. I'm understanding the families who may have somebody that's affected by it, and now they're mandatory, quarantine, and stuck in their homes. Um, a young lady that came from Paris, and I think she was at school or something like that. I think she was at school or she was traveling, doing some kind of study program or something like that in Paris. And when she came back, it was they ran tests and it was said that she had contracted the virus. I don't know how early on it was that they was able to catch it, but she got back and they had quarantined her, entire family. The father, he really didn't listen or didn't want to listen, and he ended up leaving the house and went somewhere. And it was, I guess, the word got out that he had left, and I think he was forced. Now they forced to stay home. I think law enforcement or something like that had got involved. It's just weird, and it's just different. As annoying as it is, this is different. I in the years that I've been alive, I haven't seen anything to this level just yet. I've been fortunate where we haven't had much, uh, or at least I haven't experienced much, much chaos in my life with things like this and natural disasters in a particular city that I'm at. Barely affected us. We got hit with a few ice storms, tornado like weather, but nothing ripping houses apart, no earthquakes or anything like that. I just been fortunate. So seeing things progress as fast as this has been progressing and with the potential that it has, this is a first for me. And that's why I've been telling people you gotta admit that it's just different. For some people it may not be. For some people this may be smaller than some things that they've dealt with. With me being located where I'm at, we don't deal with a whole lot. We deal with a lot of killings and shootings. Um, that issue, but we don't deal with a whole lot of natural disaster or viruses being spread around or things like that. This is different for us, or at least for me, and I have an understanding mindset toward it, where I'm not frowning at people who are going to stores and buying up products and buying up tissue and sanitizer and water and essentials. That's smart. Yeah, you would say verbally, hey, get that stuff earlier. You should have been planning ahead, getting a couple cases at a time when everything is good so that there's no urgency and that you're not inconveniencing anybody, inconveniencing stores. But we're past that now. Now you gotta just now is just do it. There's a very high chance that, you know, nationwide quarantine could be issued, you know, for however many weeks. It could be just 1 week, could just be two, you know. Who knows? It could be a few days. It could be longer than 2 weeks. We don't know, but however long, And it reminds me of this story that I read. Well, I didn't read it. Someone told it to me, and I gotta go and find it. But it was a story about the 10 virgins and how out of those 10, only 5 properly prepared. There was another set of 5 where they prepared but not properly. It was said that they were to meet someone, and the someone that they were to meet, they were supposed to meet a bridegroom. And the bridegroom was supposed to meet them, and it wasn't really a set time frame, as from what I can remember of the story. It wasn't really a set time frame. There wasn't a set time period when this person would show up or an exact moment. They just had to be prepared for whenever he came. And like I said, 5, they gathered more than enough oil. So I'm guessing they had an idea of how long this oil would last, maybe 3 or 4 hours, maybe 5, or something like that. Just paraphrasing and guesstimating in my head. And they was like, you know what? We don't know when this person will show up. We're going to go ahead and grab extra oil just in case this burns out. We have what we need and we're not without. The other group didn't prepare, and what they had wasn't enough. They thought they had properly prepared, and they may have even looked at the ones who were over prepared in a sense of, why do you have all that? Yeah, you're doing the most. It don't take all that. That's uncalled for. But when it came down to it, where life sets in, because it's different. I think we're all annoyed at the news articles, and we're annoyed at the media. We're annoyed at the footage. We're annoyed at the press conferences and the speeches being held and medical, articles being released and these new stats and statistics being shown. I think it's those things that we're annoyed at. We're annoyed at the social media, hype and reaction to all this as well. I think that is what we're over. We're just kind of tired of that. But no matter how tired of that you are or how annoyed about that you are, life is going to hit and you got to be able to respond. As ridiculous and as misguided as the circumstances may be when life hit, you still got to respond. You still got to move on with life. You still got to make your move. And if stores are closing or closing earlier or running out of supplies and you're cooped up at home, if jobs are sending you home because they can no longer operate, they're no longer operable, you gotta respond. That's my things. You have to respond. I don't want to be one of those people that need to ask somebody else for help because I didn't properly prepare. As ridiculous as the circumstances are, that's great. But hunger is real. And if you don't have enough food to last you, you're going to be stuck ordering through Amazon, who's probably going to crack you with that price, depending on what you're trying to get. Or ask your neighbors, or see if you can ask family, and it's gonna get rough. And you gotta prepare for the worst. Why not prepare for the worst? So that you're more than able to take care of yourself. I think a lot of us just felt like this was so far away from us that we didn't have to worry about it. And having that mindset is dangerous because you feel like it doesn't affect you, and in some ways it does. And now it's directly affecting you. And we're still having the well, it's still kind of far away mindset, which is dangerous to have when it's sitting right next to you. You can't look at it as if it's far away anymore when it's right there. The another thing about this particular strain of corona is how most airborne or viruses from making physical contact or something like that are created. This one, or not created, but spread. This one necessarily doesn't need that. It seemed like people who are not even traveling, people who may not even be in contact with somebody, they're getting it. Or people who have it may not even know that they have it. The symptoms are laying dormant for 27, 24, 24 to 27 days. Symptoms are laying dormant. So you're walking around thinking that you're okay. And you're walking around people, you're interacting with people, hugging, shaking hands, whatever the case. And best case scenario, you're your hygiene is great. You're sanitizing, you're washing your hands. But even with that, you still could possibly have it and give it unto others. And that's with the best hygiene practices. Let alone if somebody who's a little lackluster when it comes to that. One of the things I want to look at is I feel like this is an agenda. The media is pushing this really hard. They're creating this narrative. It's almost like watching the WWE, like watching the World Wrestling Federation. I mean, they're running. It looked like promos more than it is news coverage. I'm noticing that this thing has hit worldwide, and it ain't a lot of area that it hasn't affected yet. From Africa, Australia, Europe, North America, South America, Asia, it is hit in each one of those areas. One of the biggest is Europe, Asia, and North America is growing. South America was pretty heavy so far as the affected areas as well. But Asia and Europe and America are definitely one of the higher ones. I just been noticing overall, not even just the coronavirus, but just events as a whole. Just been noticing like the issues that's been happening worldwide from just decades old feuds between countries, famine in certain countries, Venezuela and how it just struggling. I don't even say struggling, but just terrible economy. Struggling economy of Italy. Like I said, there's constant feuds between different countries, abuse of law, natural disasters occurring, and just devastating countries and devastating areas and economies, devastating the people. And then you get this coronavirus that's sweeping the world and being promoted the way that it is. If we don't believe that there's an agenda being pushed and that is being cultivated behind closed doors, then something's wrong. You got to understand, pay attention to the general direction that your country is heading in. Pay attention to the world and how it's doing things and the narrative that it's putting forth. Notice how annoying this particular virus media coverage is. And people keep thinking that's not done on purpose. That could be very well done on purpose. To annoy you to the point where it's just like all you want is for it to be over. And that's a dangerous place to be in because you'll do pretty much anything to shut it up. You'll accept pretty much anything to shut it up. If majority of the country doesn't show the ability to be able to adjust and cope and learn how to readjust their lives, which I believe we all can, and we all, push come to shove, we have the ability to do that. But just right now, people just they're just not they're just not right now. with all the freedoms that and the privileges to do what we wanted before, taken away that would just it would devastate so many people. So if they presented a solution, and that's what I've been thinking about. I haven't even been thinking about the virus and what it's doing and what it's affecting. I've been praying for the families that's been affected and quarantined or having to deal with deceased, loved ones, things like that. My prayers, my heart goes out to them. But I've been more so thinking about what on earth is the solution that they're going to try to implement. There's so much dis dismay happening all over the world. And it's not new. It's been happening. It's been happening since forever. But it's like it's just as time goes on, it gets worse and worse and worse. And you gotta understand there's gonna be a response eventually. Just even here in the US, you got all these states. Each state regulates itself a little differently, operates somewhat of the same blanket of, laws, bylaws, and, constitution, things like that. But it's just each one kind of governs itself with small changes from one state to the next. I remember when before marijuana was just so widely accepted and legal, it was only certain states that had it, and you couldn't travel to this state, and you can only have this amount. And this state said you can have this amount, and this was punishable, but in this state, this wasn't punishable. And it's just so many weird little knickknack rules and laws and thing that's illegal in certain states that you wouldn't even believe. You got so many things that's happening in each state, and each state is operating with a different set or a varying set of laws and rules. I know we've heard of the New World Order theory long time ago, and one world this and one world that. Looking at it from a government's standpoint, a leader or a ruler's standpoint, having everybody operate under the same law, having everyone operate under the same, having just one economy. And I'm trying to imagine that actually happening in like the beginning stages of it, where there's one law, there's one government, one economy, one currency. And I'm thinking about like the initial pros of that. And just thinking like areas that never had the resources available to it now have it. Countries that were once in feuds with one another and century long just battles and wars, now they no longer have that. It's it was intriguing to think about that. I was noticing just the initial benefits of that. It just seemed like that would seem good to a lot of countries. That would seem good to a lot of people. But I feel like that will come at a dramatic cost, a really high cost. Everybody operating on a one economy, one government, one currency, one set of laws that applies for every area. Nothing is different. You got some countries where heinous crimes aren't even really acknowledged. You got some countries where harassment is kind of like halfway allowed. And then you got some countries where none of that is allowed and it's frowned upon. You got some countries that punishes people from stealing, but you got some countries that completely abhors the thought of somebody stealing. You know, you develop a world where everybody operates under one blanket of law. And to me, that's, I don't know, man, that's different. But it makes me think about like what solution. And somebody made that point on one of their speeches on YouTube. He made that same point, and he was just like, "What if someone shows up and offers a solution, and it's a actual valid solution, a solution where it can actually take care of this whole Corona thing and get everybody back to their normal lives, even out the economy. Housing market looking really good, you know, people able to actually have a retirement, a good, reliable retirement. Economy's flourishing and doing really well. Stock market is back looking excellent. You know, debt that we may have owed, some kind of solution been made for it. Could you imagine like a permanent solution for something like that? And I'm speaking from a very uneducated place, so pardon me if I'm ruffling a few feathers. I don't have total and complete knowledge on all the topics that I'm speaking on. And I kind of like it that way. I like the fact that I don't necessarily need to have total understanding in order to share a organized thought and not just blurt something out. And I think there's a difference, you know, slowing down, really thinking about what you're getting ready to say, looking at what's happening around you, looking at what's not just affecting you, but affecting others, looking a little further away from your household and see how others are being affected, and thinking outside the box like, what is this for? Why is this happening? And is there an agenda? I honestly believe there is. This could be a move to take us in that direction of just one world. That's my thoughts. That's my rambling. Thank each and every one of you for tuning in and listening. This is the Regal 30 podcast. If you're watching on YouTube, I want you to hit that like button. I want you to comment. Just show your thoughts on the conversation. I definitely want you to subscribe and tell your friends about our channel. We talk about a wide variety of topics. This topic just happens to be one of the hotter ones. Follow us on Anchor FM at the Regal 30 podcast. We're available on Breaker. We're available on Google Podcasts. We're available on Spotify, Radio Public, and Pocket Cast as well. Follow us on Facebook. Catch us on Instagram at KingNappy7. And I will catch you guys later. Peace.